Now, what if I told you that this entire instrument was powered by something you can't even see? Not any strings, no sticks, but just air. But how does air turn into music? The bottom line is that every woodwind instrument, whether it's a clarinet, a flute, or an oboe, relies on one thing: moving air. But not just any air, controlled air. So think about this. When you blow into an instrument, you're not just making noise, you're starting a chain reaction. Air goes in, and something actually vibrates, and sound is born. Now, this is where things really get interesting because not all woodwinds make sound the same way. Now, when I first picked up the clarinet as a kid, I had no idea that this tiny piece was doing all the work. This reed acts like a tiny vibrating door. And as you blow air, it rapidly opens and closes, chopping the air into vibrations, and those vibrations become sound. Now, if you take that idea and double it with the oboe and bassoon instruments, the double reeds vibrate against each other. And this creates a more intense and tighter sound. And this is why the instruments like the oboe sound so expressive. So the flute is the rebel of the woodwind family. No reed, no buzzing lips, just air in edge and physics. And the flute is a good example of how woodwinds all make sound with air, but not the same way. So the player blows a focused stream of air across the embouchure hole. That air splits on the sharp edge, creating alternating pressure changes that make the air column vibrate. Real quick, which woodwind do you think is the hardest to make sound on first? The clarinet, sax, oboe, bassoon, or the flute? Well, thanks for participating, and we're going to get a little bit deeper on how these instruments actually make sound. Okay, so now we have vibration, but that alone isn't going to be enough. It needs a place to grow. So inside of the instrument, it acts like a sound tunnel, and the air bounces back and forth, amplifying the sound. And this is how it works. The longer the tube, the lower sound. The shorter the tube, the higher sound. And this is where your fingers come in. Okay, that looks a little creepy. Wait a minute. Okay, that's better. Opening and closing the holes changes the length of that air column, which changes the pitch. Now here's something I didn't understand as a beginner. Why does the clarinet sound so different from the flute? Well, it basically all comes down to the shape. For example, the clarinet has a cylindrical tube and the oboe has a conical tube. And that shape generally changes how sound waves behave inside. So let's just break this down for a recap. The air goes in, something vibrates, sound waves bounce around inside, and fingers control the pitch. And just like that, you've turned invisible air into music. Now, if you've ever played a woodwind instrument, you know it's not that easy. At least it wasn't for me. But now you know what's really happening inside. So, which woodwind instrument do you play or want to learn? Let me know in the comments. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching again. I appreciate all of you teachers and music enthusiasts. If you like this video, watch this next video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for those that are sharing. Please continue to share because it's helping my channel to grow. And remember, don't miss a